Hey everyone, my name is Reverend Sybil Kears, and I am a licensed financial professional. I've been in the financial industry for several years. I am the CEO of SKM Financial. I want to come today to share some information, and I pray that you will take it, use it, apply it, and share it as well. I will also provide a free resource of the information that I will go over, okay? So today we're going to talk about 12 steps that you need to do to get your affairs in order. Here at SKM Financial, we help people plan for the best and be prepared for the unexpected. Proverbs 27:23 to 24 says, Be diligent to know the state of your flocks and attend to your herds, for your riches are not forever, nor does a crown endure for all generations. Luke 14:28 says, For which of you intending to build a tower does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it? So these are just some scriptures, foundational baselines that you can use as a premise and a principle of why we want to talk about getting our affairs in order, okay? 12 things you need to do to make sure to get your affairs in order. Income protection. This is something that people don't talk enough about, but it's something that is so important. The bad thing about it is that we don't realize how important it is to have had this discussion until it's too late to have it. So if hypothetically, if you are a breadwinner and you have anybody in your household depending on your money, including you, what will happen if that income was no longer coming in? This is where I want the wheels to start turning, right? Now, a good rule of thumb for income protection is to try to have at least try to get an insurance policy that will cover your annual household income for at least 3 to 5 years. So if you want to know how much insurance you should look to get, there's your answer. And the reason why that is because how long do you think the mortgage company will let your family stay in the house without a mortgage payment? How long do you think it will be something your family can sustain without the income they are relying on today? So, to give us time to figure out what we need to do, how we need to do it, we need more than just a week. We need more than just a month. So, to allow for the big decisions to be made in a time of confusion, possibly grief, and all of those things, having this in place will ensure that your family will continue even though you may not be there to put the bread on the table. If that makes sense. I hope it does. The next thing we want to talk about is direct beneficiaries on your bank account. This is so important. You need to go to the bank and make sure that you have identified who your beneficiary will be. So if they need to get into your account in the event you're no longer here, all they need is the death certificate and their ID. This will eliminate them having to fight entities about something that potentially they're entitled to. Okay. Another topic, TOD, transfer of death, deed of property. If you own a home, this document allows you to transfer ownership of your home to your designee. Okay. You need to have this document filed with your county, your clerk of court, whatever state rules and how that is applied. Usually might be a register of deeds, but you want to make sure this is filed. This will prevent your heirs, your designees from having to go through probate court and having to fight for something that you intended to leave them anyway. Another thing, make sure you establish a living will. Now, this is not the same thing as a last will and testament. We'll talk about that in a minute. A living will is what you do to prepare the people that you designate to make your health care decisions in the event you're unable to communicate. Okay, express these things to people, designate someone. So when, if, or however the situation may present itself, they are prepared to speak on your behalf. That is a living will. Another topic, durable power of attorney. This is the one who will make financial decisions that you designate, someone you trust to handle legal and financial affairs should you become incapacitated. They will now be able to render some decisions on your behalf. This means it takes a conversation with the person to let them know what their responsibilities are and your expectations, okay? Now, The living will and a durable power of attorney, these are not things that would be needed after the fact. This is pretty much still involving someone who is living, just either incapacitated or unable to communicate for whatever reason. Okay. Next thing, a power of attorney for healthcare. This is not the same thing as a durable power of attorney. So, a power of attorney for healthcare is someone you assign to make medical decisions on your behalf when you're unable to do so. So make sure that each of your designees also know what their role is. What can the durable power of attorney do that the power of attorney of healthcare cannot? Right? So the power of attorney of healthcare doesn't need to go down to your bank and talk about your money. And the durable power of attorney do not need to go to the nurse's office or the emergency room talking about they got some decisions to make. Make sure your people know what what you expect of them, what the role entails, and don't just assume that people want to accept their responsibility. This takes conversation, because what you're asking people to do in these roles is to make some tough decisions while they're still going to be trying to sort through their own emotions about what they may be dealing with concerning you. So be mindful of that, but nonetheless, this is something that you have an opportunity to do now. And it is important that we do it before we need it, okay? The next step I want to talk about is establishing a last will and testament. We talked earlier about the living will. Now we want to talk about the last will and testament. This outlines who will receive your personal belongings, finances, and property. When you create this document, you'll have to name an executor who will be in charge of even paying off any remaining debts and distributing property to your beneficiaries. Whatever it is that may have to happen, this is the person that's going to handle your affairs in the event you're no longer here to do them for yourself. It is very important that you review this document often as you need to, because you may have written it at a time where you had a select number of property, right? A select number of debt. And now, after a course of time, things change. Another thing that changes is the people we designate. Sometimes they're still here, sometimes not. So we want to make sure that while we're putting these documents in place, that we are diligently, continuously making sure the most up-to-date information is available. And we are establishing which is the last one that we want to have honored. Okay, because as we make changes, sometimes people have an old copy of something as opposed to the new copy or the newest version or revision. Make sure your communications are clear. And if you need to consult legal advice, please do so. It is worth the investment. Okay. Another thing I want to talk about is funeral planning. We don't need to wait until it's time to plan the funeral to plan the funeral. What do you mean? I'm glad you asked. Well, some of us have this certain desires, or some of us may have specifics of how we want our final arrangements to be carried out. Now is the time to tell people what you want, who you want, and how you want it. And you put it in writing so that people can honor your final wishes. Okay. This is one thing that will eliminate a lot of the confusion. Things like, do you want a repass or do you don't? Do you want someone to sing at your, give a solo? Do you, do you want to be cremated or not? Whatever you could think of. There are some templates that are available. A lot of hospitals and a lot of doctor offices, even life insurance companies have these templates where all you got to do is fill it in, and they give you everything to think about and what you need to think about. And all you have to do is identify the topic or the person for that particular section. But it's available to you. I ask you to go ahead and take advantage of those free resources. Okay. So now we've gotten past all of the types of documentation. Now I want to more so talk about some things that we need to do moving forward about how to prepare the people and what we can do with our ongoing situations. One thing you want to make sure is you make a list of all of your accounts, bank accounts, investment institutions, account numbers included, credit cards, debit cards, utility companies, bills, phone bills, cable bills, light bill, water bill, mortgage company, Whatever it is, life insurance. If you're paying on a policy, let somebody know. So let's be a prepared people. If you want to, some people like, well, I don't want to write my stuff down. I don't want to leave it laying around. I get all that. You have safety boxes at a bank. You have financial lock boxes that can be found online. There's services that offer that. If you need help with that, I can connect you. We do help our clients with that area as well, where you have a virtual financial lockbox where all of these things are kept and you monitor it and you give someone access to it. So when they need it, they'll have access to the contents within. But this is very important that you provide clear instructions about what you need to happen. This will probably also be helpful to the one that's handling the last will and testament. That person will need this information because they'll then know how to execute some of the things that you've told them to execute. Write it down. Make it plain and simple and accessible. Okay. The next thing, make sure you have property titles, vehicle titles. Granted, some states do not issue titles when there's still a lien or a loan on the vehicle. I get it. But you can get your vehicle title number, your VIN number, and everything else that someone can find out what it is that this property and who it belonged to, okay? And with your other resources that we talked about to identify what to do with this property, they should be okay. But if you do live in a state that you can get your titles, get it for campers, boats, vehicles, motorcycles, whatever it is. You make sure you have your title so that you have it in a place that it can be accessible when it's needed, and it's most important to those who will need it, know where to find it. Okay? Make sure your accounts are accessible, your digital access information, your Apple account or ID. I think it's called Apple account now. If you don't establish your legacy contact with Apple, they will not give your information to anybody. I don't care how close they were to you, how important they were to you. And I know we live in a day and age where privacy is so held at a high standard, and I completely get it. But still, the legacy contact will not be active until it's now something for a legacy, meaning you're no longer here. Make sure someone knows what your bank ID is, your account logins and passwords, because if they call these entities and try to get in there after you're no longer here, they're going to get a big denial, okay? So make sure that somebody that you trust knows this information because it will be imperative. And it's one of those things you don't know you need it until you need it, you know? So let's try to make sure we have that in line. Whatever you could think of that has a sign in, a log on, even down to your devices, your computers. Make sure someone knows how to get into that stuff. If you have a location that you keep certain things digitally, how do they get into that? If you run an online business, you got an online store, you're an online entrepreneur, who knows how to get in there to get what they need to get? Okay, I promise you, Stripe, PayPal, and Cash App will not be tearing down your doors to give your loved ones your money if that's what they're entitled to have. So make sure someone has this or there's a record of it that it can be gotten to, even if you keep it in the financial lockbox or in a safety box at the bank. Whatever it is, make sure you do that, okay? Lastly, I want to talk about make your wishes known. Have those tough conversations. Be open, transparent, talk to those closest to you. And please remember the people you're asking to step into these roles, to be designees and all of that. I mean, people won't mind being a beneficiary, but a designee, a trustee, that is a very significant responsibility. So don't assume because people love you that they're going to want to handle that when they're already trying to deal with something concerning you. There will be emotions that they're trying to sift through and figure out. And you're asking them to be responsible for something at a time that they may feel very vulnerable. So have respect for that and have the conversation. Preparing your folks is the best way to get everybody on board. Okay. And the best way to have the preparation to take place is while you're still here to be able to do it. Now's the time. This is your opportunity to get at least these 12 steps done. So hopefully you will take care of these steps. It's probably going to be one of the greatest gifts that you could leave your loved ones, right? It provides peace of mind in the midst of chaos. It minimizes legal headaches. ensures that your wishes are honored and they know how to handle it. It removes them from having to think at a time that they're trying to go through their own emotions. And if this sparks something on the inside of you, then don't wait. Reach out to your consultant. If you don't have one, SKM Financial, we do help people, and we're always looking for ways to help someone at least get on the right track. And in these 12 steps, we definitely would love to help you any way that we can. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity and try to get you some information to help you along the way. Again, my name is Pastor Sybil Kears. I am the CEO of SKM Financial, here to help people plan for the best, but be prepared for the unexpected. And if that is you, definitely let us know how we can serve you. Until next time, my friend, much love and success. God bless.